Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly fascinating gardening journal entry from July 2026, written by a gardener named Ang. It's a story that completely flips our usual problem-solving instincts totally upside down. We're going to explore the surprising and honestly incredibly effective power of intentional inaction. Yes, you heard that right. Doing absolutely nothing and just watching how nature steps in to pick up the slack. So think about your own garden, your houseplants, or really any project you've poured your time and heart into. What happens when you intentionally ignore a problem? Like when you see a frustrating pest infestation, literally eating away at your hard work, and you consciously choose to fold your hands, step back, and just watch. I mean, it goes against every single instinct we have, doesn't it? Our first thought is always to fix, to meddle, to intervene right away. But as we'll explore today, stepping back and letting the problem be, well, it might just be the most productive, environmentally sound thing you can possibly do. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. The Mealycup Sage Experiment. Our source material focuses on Ang's Mealycup Sage, known scientifically as Salvia farinaceae, which was suffering from a pretty severe pest infestation. Now, most of us would immediately reach for a spray bottle, right? Or start meticulously picking bugs off the leaves. But Ang made a deliberate, calculated choice to withhold aid. Treating the garden like a living laboratory, Ang set up a really fascinating hypothesis. How will this infested plant react to its surroundings and the other plant species in the area if completely left alone? It was a true test of nature's resilience, letting the plant fend for itself to see what ecological mechanisms would naturally kick in when a human just steps out of the way. Let's trace how this experiment actually played out over time, because, well, patience is the absolute key variable here. On day 1, the pest infestation begins, and the damage undoubtedly starts to show. For the next several weeks, weeks 1 through 4, we enter this period of intentional, agonizing inaction. You can imagine the discipline it takes to watch a plant struggle day by day and literally do nothing. But then, as we move into month 2, something subtly shifts in the environment. A new resident moves in. A spider begins building a nest. And finally, by month 3, the incredible happens. The plant doesn't just survive, the blooming actually resumes. The sage completely pulls through, all on its own natural timeline. Which brings us to section 2, the unexpected 8-legged hero. During those long months of observation, nature deployed its own highly effective defense mechanism. An unknown spider species arrived on the scene. And this wasn't something purchased or introduced by the gardener, it just showed up naturally. The spider built a comprehensive nest entirely surrounding the Mealycup sage, and in doing so, it became the ultimate organic pest control system. It kept all those harmful pests completely at bay, eventually eradicating them entirely. There was zero human intervention, zero mixing of chemicals, just a tiny arachnid hero setting up shop exactly where a giant food source presented itself. This, my friends, is a textbook example of natural predation. Let's define that real quick. Natural predation is a biological interaction where a predator organism hunts, kills, and eats a prey organism. By doing absolutely nothing, Ang allowed the local food web to function exactly as it evolved to. The pests were no longer just a nuisance destroying a garden plant. In the grand scheme of the garden, they became an abundant food source that naturally attracted a predator. The spider wasn't actively trying to protect the sage plant out of the goodness of its heart, right? It was just capitalizing on a free, all-you-can-eat buffet. Moving on to section 3, manual fixes versus nature. And this brilliantly illustrates the core choice we face in our gardens. As an active fix, Ang notes in the journal that an organic mixture of vegetable oil and detergent is always sufficient to manage a pest infestation. It's a proven, safe method that absolutely works. But it requires you to mix it, apply it, constantly monitor the plant, and likely reapply it after a rainstorm. Conversely, the passive fix leverages natural predators like our unknown spider. It requires absolutely zero labor. You just have to have the patience to let nature's pest control agents do the heavy lifting for you. I really want you to think about that for a second. How quick are you to intervene when you see a problem? Whether it's a few aphids on your tomato plants, a brown spot on your lawn, or honestly, maybe even in other areas of your life, our modern instinct is immediate, decisive action. We want to apply the fix, the spray, the solution right this second to restore order. But this explainer challenges us to ask, are we rushing to solve problems that might actually fix themselves far more elegantly if we just gave them a little bit of time and space to breathe? Let's move to and see how this builds in section 4, balancing your microclimate. Ang's journal entry specifically mentions the importance of keeping the microclimate in balance. So let's unpack what that actually means. A microclimate is the local climate of a small, specific area, which may differ from the broader surrounding climate. Your garden, or even a single raised garden bed, is its own unique microclimate. The Mealycup Sage, the pests, and the spider all work together to create a tiny, self-regulating ecosystem. By resisting the urge to spray and letting the spider hunt, Ang allowed that specific microclimate to find its own natural equilibrium, completely unprompted by human hands. It's like a giant puzzle fitting perfectly together. If you want to replicate this success in your own space, the strategy derived from this source material is surprisingly simple. It's a straightforward 3-step process. Step 1. Step back from manual intervention. Put the organic spray bottle down for a few weeks. Step 2. Allow predators to arrive. Give the spiders, ladybugs, and predatory wasps the time they actually need to discover the booming food source you've provided them. And Step 3. Let the microclimate balance itself. It's a total paradigm shift, really, from being a micromanager of your garden to being a patient facilitator of natural processes. Now, what's really interesting about this is Ang's exact concluding thought from the journal perfectly captures this entire concept. Quote, "Leveraging natural predators is a great alternative, especially if you want to keep the ecosystem or microclimate in balance without much manual intervention." End quote. It perfectly sums up the beauty of just stepping out of the way. It's not just about saving yourself time and manual labor, it's about actively fostering a healthier, more complex, and more resilient environment where nature regulates itself seamlessly. So the crucial point is that sometimes intentionally doing nothing is the most powerful, ecologically sound action you can possibly take. We've seen exactly how a single Mealycup sage was saved and brought back to a beautiful bloom simply by allowing the natural food web to operate completely uninterrupted. The next time you spot a pest chewing on a leaf, consider taking a deep breath, acting as a curious observer, and just waiting for the 8-legged cavalry to arrive. Are you ready to let nature take the wheel in your own backyard? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Until next time, keep learning and happy hands-off gardening.